Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me tonight on a late episode of the Treat Show. I want to apologize because I sound like extra shit. Is you'll hear in the episode this evening is I got a little sick from our travels. Is I was sitting not in the most prime location. I would say next to like the most sick person on the plane. It gave me like COVID 66. I swear to God, but. No, I don't swear. I don't know what it is, but feeling a little rough. I think that you guys are gonna enjoy. I hope hearing about the last couple of weeks though is Jason and I from Dark Horse. Is we have been traveling and we have been doing things. is we went to Hawaii a couple of weeks ago for the trade show down there, and you guys will hear Jason talk about it in like a lot more details. But it was a pretty awesome experience. And then we went to Minnesota. Shout out Gerhardt and to those that watched the game last night, my goodness, really fast, really fast. I just want to say it was super devastating. It's the most anxiety I've felt watching basketball in a long time. Minnesota is crushing. And you guys know I'm a Nuggets fan, like super, super hardcore. But number 5, I don't even know his name. I can't even like say it because it's like I'm still stinging today. But he's scary. Did anybody else watch? You know, I feel like Joker, we got our boys, we got Gordon out there. They played like shit last night, honestly, but the newbies, fantastic. Anyways, we'll go back to weed. So I feel like, how has your guys' week been? I miss the chat so much and I miss the show. I was contemplating continuing doing this show or not. I'm going to be honest because I'm not the coolest kid on the block to listen to on a podcast. But these moments that I have this distance, I'm like, I need you guys in my life. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We'll stay our tight fam. So yeah, sorry about my face. Sorry about my voice. Sorry about all of it. But you guys need to like, I don't know, watch your hands out there. This guy really was obnoxious though on the plane. I guarantee it was from him. Rosin Dogs, I miss you. Dog how are you and Mrs. Rosin Dogs? Because I will tell you, it has been so many times this year that I wish that I could see you guys at these trade shows. And if we can make it happen, you let me know. I think that it would be lovely to actually be able to go up to New York and see you guys too. I know Jason and Dark Horse has done New York in the past, but I have not experienced a trade show out there, and I think this would be cool. Hawaii, we did last year a different expo down there, and it was really cool. Rare Ignis went there this year. I did notice that, and we missed them, unfortunately, but this other spot is a different part of the island. It's like on the backside of Waikiki. I'm not good at this at all, but if you guys want more details, I can let you know the specifics. But there was like, it's like a reservation or something that's like protected from. See, I'm fucking this up. This is like the Sudafed and everything else. But it's like sacred land, basically, that no cops, nobody can mess with. And I think it is not only the most like beautiful space that you're going to see, it is straight up like Fern Gully, like trade show style. Amazing. They even picked us up in like this little Raptor thing and took us to the event after you parked your car. I just want to say there's not many events I've been to that you get like 4-wheeled up to the entrance. Pretty badass. And yeah, the vibe though was really, really cool. We had Stone Ninja there. We got to shout him out because Stone Ninja did fantastic at this trade show. And those who haven't checked out his seeds, please check out his seeds. Blue and him are awesome. And he was down there crushing the show. We didn't see many people. It's like, honestly, I think we were probably the only outside people at this trade show. It was definitely different as far as those like locals only kind of community. And I don't know, the boys have like their connections and they made it happen, but it was unique. And there was a lot of people that like had never grown cannabis before that was there. And I don't know. It was just different than most of the trade shows I've been to in the past year. Sorry. I feel like everybody was very like amped to learn information or get seeds or like try something new. But just didn't have like a lot to like say or like combat with or be like, these genetics suck versus these genetics suck. Is like, I don't know. It's like everybody was very just like feeling it, all excited for their future. I don't know. And I thought that was super cool to see. Also, Minnesota, I have to say, and you guys will hear us talk about this evening, is Minnesota has the nicest people I have ever met in my entire life. And I will say that Minnesota, like Minneapolis, where we went to this convention center, was very clean. Okay, I know this sounds weird, but I did not know that Denver has gotten more hood in the recent years as to going there. It was very clean and just awesome. The hotel we stayed at, awesome staff. Just, I felt like everybody was very weed friendly. I was nervous coming from Colorado and like how this trade show was going to go. They're still working out the kinks on some laws. We could touch on at a later time. But I think that it was just surprising to me how mature of an audience on the flip is like Minnesota people were like, yeah, we grow. Yeah, we crush. Look at our pheno hunt. Yeah, we met so many people that had moved from Colorado to there for their business entrepreneurships. And we also ran into a lot of people just from Denver in general that like have relocated in the last couple years and were like, I don't know. It was just surprising to me. I was like, damn, there's like 10 people that I've like worked with or seen in the past at this trade show, which is strange. And yeah. I did not see at this one like Athena or Canna or some of like the really big names. I didn't see at this type of event. There was like Flow Hub, some of these other guys that like you can tell it's gaining traction where next year I'm really anticipating it to be really large. I think they saw probably a couple thousand people in 2 days. But yeah, it was really cool. I loved it. We met some great partners there. We're going to have some guys on the show soon. It's going to be fantastic. But I'm going to take a couple more hits of this blunt. Blue, I love you. I know you love New York, but I love you. Blue actually met us for a beach day in Hawaii because we had to work. We did. We had to work most of our trip, all of the hours. But we had one Sunday of a good afternoon on the beach, and Blue was the sparkle baby that made that happen. Rory Gardner, what are you up to? How was your life? Robert, Mr. Greenfingers, is super good to see you. Rusty Nails. Oh my gosh, they don't poo on sidewalks like on the left coast, LOL. Yeah, it's a real thing. Okay, there is definitely Denver, I hate to say this, but I don't know, in the last 10 years since we got legalized here, I feel like we have way more homeless people. Do not take this as like I'm a mean person, but they have fucked this city up. And like, I feel like it is just not the same as what they had going on. I was like, there's no trash. These people are so kind. You're not worried about getting stabbed going into the 7-Eleven. Like, what is going on? I feel like Denver definitely, when people say there's no hood in Denver, I'm like, you must like hang out in all the right areas because I don't know. I also don't want to make Denver sound awful because I love Denver, obviously. But Minnesota was the cleanest city I think I've ever seen. I've been on the East Coast. I've been on other spots on the West Coast. And I feel like Minnesota, you guys got to keep it up, man. Even the air, except for the weather. So out of control. Even this time, I was like, we were looking at the weather and Jason's like, Jay, don't worry. Like you can pack like, you know, it's going to be like 65 degrees. I'm like, sweet. So 65 in Colorado, like you can like wear, you know, your spaghetti strap and like shorts outside and you're going to like feel a little toasty. We go to Minnesota and I totally did not bring any of the right clothes. I was like freezing. It was so cold. It was like wet cold. It was like super rainy the whole time. I don't even know. I was just like, I see what they're saying. But I do think as far as growing, when you look at these differences, even in these climates that we're talking about though, is like Hawaii. Jason was like, watch how wet your weed will get. You'll have the driest weed flying, or allegedly, from Colorado. We have all of our like, dry stuff here. You'll take the same bag and it'll be soaking wet in like 24, 48 hours. And you'll be like, wow. So it inspired me. I'm not going to do it today because of my COVID 66, but I feel like it inspired me to want to do an episode on curing specifically. And so that we can talk about different everybody talks about our like optimal temperatures and climate to be shooting for, but there's some obstacles, lots of obstacles within that that yeah, we should probably talk about having to adjust, like, and acclimate to these spaces because it is slightly different. Even though your thermostat needs to be pretty close to the same things, is you're going to have to manipulate, obviously, the climate to achieve that. In places like Hawaii, where it's super, super humid, you know what I mean? Like, you can't cure with, like, the same full plant hang for a week or two, like, no problem. It's like, I don't know. I just want to touch on it. I don't want to dive into it now because I'll already start going on and on. Anyways, on the next episode too, we'll touch on some of our plans that we've been working on with our clones and things. Is I want you guys to know it's going good. It's going good. Also, while we're talking about climate, for the commercial growers out there, I know I love my home growers and majority of the listeners are honestly home growers. But for the commercial growers, I walked a grow today, and while we're talking about climate, is really quick, is like those Quest dehumidification systems are like super gangster. It's like the Escalade of dehumidification, and they have different sizes for those that are for I'm sure you guys are familiar with Quest if you're running a commercial operation at this point. But if you're not, you should definitely check out their products. And I would love to get them on the show. But I have noticed that I've worked at a couple different grows now where when I walk into these facilities, I see the Quest units on the floor, and I just want everybody to know this. I guess it's not just strictly commercial growers. Is you shouldn't do this at your house either. It's weird, but these units are so large. And again, when we have our little climate breakdown, I'll go into this a lot more detailed and I'll put it up on the screen. But these units need like 6 foot minimum of like space surrounding them. And then they cannot be on the floor like that and like work efficiently. And not only is it not working efficiently, it's going to cause you more problems. Like those that are failing testing or like struggling and combating powder mildew for like a long time and things like algae, like this is just not good. And I have seen it now, and that's the only reason I want to point this out. Maybe it's not relevant to majority of us, but you need to put that bad boy on the ceiling. And if you need help mounting it up or like knowing little tricks to getting them on the ceiling, is like, let me know, because you can use Unistrut and you can use all kinds of different things depending on your sitch. But I've just noticed that this is like on the ground, and then they'll put racks and plants and shit around them, and you're like, this is like a $20,000 unit that is getting totally misused. So anyways, I just noticed this operation has been in business for years, and it's not a bash. It's totally not a bash, but it's like mind-blowing to me that Quest isn't like, hey, let me show you how to do this. Maybe they are. Al Telescope Uranus, that is quite a great name as well. How are you doing tonight in the chat? I have not seen you, and thank you so much for checking out the show. Okay, I'm grabbing this. Sorry, guys. I also want to special shout out Dark Horse this week too. You guys will see in this episode, but Jason really is. I was thinking about it. It's like obviously we're pretty close, but I feel like when I was really thinking about the journey in the last couple of years and where the market's at in Colorado, and we can talk about Schedule 3 and all that stuff, but you'll see we touch on it in this video, and I don't want to talk about it today because it honestly just frustrates me, and I need to like look into it further. I think there was a gentleman that commented. It doesn't matter. You guys will see. I'm sorry. We'll come back to this. What do you guys think about Schedule 3? Most importantly. Their new, like, shit. I shouldn't even put this like this. I'm really sorry. I have it pulled up right now. I just have one particular thing. One and only. Okay? What happens if cannabis is rescheduled? This is a quick Google search. And so, through rescheduling, makes it legal for... I'm going to skip this company because this wasn't a good Google, I think. But it makes it legal for medical marijuana in patients. For medical marijuana to be used for patients. The actual sale of the drug will remain illegal under federal law because rescheduling only changes prescribing under the CSA, Myco said. I don't know. I really fucked that up. But I think that when I was trying to look it up is... there's just so much information that I've seen that contradicts each other, and you'll see that Jason and I kind of touch on it, where we point out some things that we're like concerned about, but I guess a lot of people are excited. I noticed on Instagram, like majority of the people that we work with in the cannabis industry seem like stoked. So maybe I'm like fucking up something, or maybe I'm like reading something wrong, because I am not stoked. But oh, let's see. Gerhardt. Oh, cheers. Rory Gardner, you rock. You guys make my decade. You really do. Mike Denver, I miss you. Oh, and Gerhardt, I really fast too, is I will be sending your salts. I know you probably don't believe me, but I will be sending your treat mix this next week. And I think it would be awesome if you feel like it. There's no pressure, but if you wanted to talk about it in the chat ever, as I mean, just how you're feeling about it, how user friendly it is or isn't. You can bash on me. I just want your honest feedback, because I would really like to promote this line, and I would really like to take it neck to neck with Athena and Canna and some of these other guys, as I've worked really closely with these companies. So I mean this with love, but I think that I really want to show you guys the plus sides to giving this line a try. If you're combating things in your garden, if you're combating bugs, if you're trying to achieve like some type of quality or potency levels or hash return, or I just think it would be awesome. For my home growers, you let me know if you'd ever be interested. And Gerhardt, I can't thank you enough for giving it a go. Dark Horse has been running my system, and I think it is exciting. We're finally making big leaps. I wanted to talk on the show today about our system, but I'm not going to do it because COVID-66. But I think, I'm sorry, I'm just all over the place too. But I think that if I break down this salt mix with our humidity and climate control episode, I think it would be awesome. Tark, oh, I miss you too. I hope you and the fam are doing awesome. Is Stutter, you guys really are my fam. Boom's in there. Sorry, Kim. These THC Garage, what'd I do without you guys? Oh. See, you have everyone needs a treat. Sorry, Al Telescope Uranus. Everyone needs a treat sometimes. I love my Quest Solid engineering. It's supposed to be solid, I think. I think that they really do make an like outstanding product. Those who haven't looked at, they have smaller units, and you could put them in your house. I just feel like it's just like, how into your house are you? I'm one of those people that I will do it so cheap, but then one day I'll wake up and be like, I want a Gucci grow. And so my garage will go from a shithole to like something that I'm like super proud of. So I don't know if you guys are into that, but if you are, you should check out the Quest units, because they're sexy, but they work really, really well, and their warranty is really good. I'm not going to say it's like outstanding, but I think that, yeah, if you're really combating humidity, this is your best friend, and it is a solid investment. I think one of their units is like $3,000 for like the smaller sizes. I think this is like a couple years ago. I'm sorry, but I think it's worth it. Descheduling Kendrick, rescheduling is Drake. Joffrey, thank you just so much for summing this all up. I don't even need to come back to this topic. I feel like Joffrey has covered me. Thank you. Yeah, that's why the truth is I'm not stoked, because I'm pissed that like I started during the medical times, and I really got into growing cannabis because I really, 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 really believed in this plant saving people and like being produced in a really healthy way for its for consumption from ill individuals, plus people that were like, like mentally battling stuff. Is like, I really believe sometimes that your energy like feeds into the person that's smoking it, like that may be like too far, but I just think these plants are so connected with us. Like, this sounds so ridiculous, and don't get mad at me if you're not like religious at all, because I know and respect everybody's into their things, but I have always been like a person that like prays over every single one of my plants every day, and like whether it's a commercial facility with thousands or it's just like one. Is there something about just like this like energy and connection that I feel like they reflect so much of us that like it scares me to have people like Marblo or like It doesn't even matter. Like, just the fact that you'll be able to go to a gas station and like pick up a pack of like shitty weed. Or on the flip, you'll see like, to me, like you'll see these cancer patients and things like that getting charged like insane amounts. And then think about like OSHA and think about like the requirements behind the like back of the house that we'll have to do, because like we're already so regulated, don't get me wrong, but like this is it makes me like cringe kind of. Is like I'm all for like the research and development that will come from this because of the decriminalization and like all the different people that will be able to be involved, I guess, and like minds, that'll be great. But then on the flip is like, how much are they going to research and develop to like truly help customers, truly help patients, truly help? I don't know. It's like, I was like, the market's already shit right now. Like, let's just make it a little bit worse and then make big pharma like huge money again. They're going to be like, it's $5,000 for 7 joints if you're actually sick. And then, I don't know, this is bullshit. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong and that everybody could be like, you're a big dummy. Aaron, it's so good to see you. Gotta talk nice to the girls. Gerhardt, you're absolutely right. I feel like, yeah. You guys tell me what you think, honestly, about, do you ever feel connected in your gardens? Like, do you feel like your plants kind of like feed off of you and you feed off of them? I think it's a real thing. But, I don't know. Is commercial ag screwed up tomatoes too? Yeah, I used to look up, I'll have to pull it up for this show sometimes, is I saved all these documents from years ago, I was digging way too deep into pesticides one day on like plants that are actually genetically modified with the pesticide being evolved in its genetics. I mean, I guess that's what, anyways, I think that you would be surprised on like so many things, like Gala apples, or like the list goes on and on of like clementines and like just like cool, awesome fruit that we all love, or vegetables that you pick up from the grocery store and you don't think twice about, is like whether it's labeled organic or not. Like there's like crazy loopholes that I found, like pesticides, spinoside. I'm a huge fan of spinoside. So like don't take this the wrong way when I say this, but they use spinoside so often in our food crops that they like have regulated it so harsh in cannabis and some of these other crops because we're so exposed to it. And I don't know. There was just a lot of stuff that I found on these on it's CSU's website. Okay, guys, if you want to know, you can look up a lot of agriculture pesticide questions and like fruit contamination from pesticides, and places like even like Whole Foods or like Trader Joe's and stuff is like, it's just disappointing. It's just disappointing. I feel Buzz Swan. I'm just grateful having this wonderful plant in my life. Thank you so much, Buzz Swan. That's how I felt like going to these trade shows, and seeing people that are really excited again. It's weird. It's like Colorado, myself included, like I feel like it's not that you're burnt out. That's the wrong word, but I think everybody's like hustled like pretty hard. Like it was a pretty competitive like 10 fucking years of shit. And since rec, like I've been in it before rec by quite a few years, but I feel like once it made that transition, it just, the industry got grimy here. I don't know about everybody else, but I think that it makes me nervous with all of this, with all of this moving forward. But then it makes me excited to see like people that have never had the opportunity, I think could be fulfilled by growing their own plants and like having this experience that we have gotten to, like, I don't know, like just being able to be a head grower somewhere, or being able to be a consultant, or like honestly even like a trimmer or a bud tender. Those positions are so valuable, and I think it was exciting. Like it was exciting to go through those things and learn different processes of the plant. So I don't know. I think that there's a lot of people that haven't even been able to fall in love with her yet that will be able to fall in love, which that's exciting. Kim Painter, if they put all the regulations on food that they do on weed, we would have no food. Am I right? Exactly. Boom. This is what makes me so upset about all that stuff is, the label is law. Do not get me in trouble for this. Anybody. It's like the label is law of any pesticide, right? But this part is astounding to me for reals is because it's not federally legal is they can't put cannabis use on, like they can't put a cannabis specific treatment on a pesticide. So we have to go off of different things. I'm not going to go into all of it right now, but we have to go off of different parameters than cannabis. So if you wanted to argue and be like, okay, the label is law, but how come you don't have a label that says anything with cannabis on it? So like these are the things that I'm like, okay, federally it would be awesome so that you could actually produce a product that you actually have research and development on this specific crop, and you can actually protect your employees using the product, your consumers, on and on and on. We could go. But I think on the flip side is I'm like, when I look up all the pesticides like abamectin and imidacloprid and spinoside and all these things that we can't use, there's 13 specific pesticides that we cannot use at all that work fantastic, but they use in mass quantities on big ag outside. And like things like imidacloprid is like, do you have a lot of research? Like, because they're they're not researching people 20 years after consuming this on like, what does imidacloprid do to you? It's like, they're not following up on that. Or like the applicants, like actually applying these treatments and stuff to the crop. I don't know. It's like their whole system just pisses me off. Is I'm like, the more regulation I've seen them enforce in Colorado, Oregon, and California is the more shady people got with manipulating their test samples and shit like that. It's like, it's such a double-edged sword because I feel like if you actually gave people the knowledge, which I'm hoping, I guess, as the federal plus, is like if you provided them information like on how to do these things and the information was like readily accessible, then I think it would be great in protecting a lot of people and ourselves. But I think that, I don't know. It's like, I think that it's just like weird though. It's just a weird thing is they have all this information already, honestly. And it's like, and they don't test crops at parts per billion. They don't see like arsenic. I get so pissed because arsenic it's so heavy in soil. So when people are like, why don't you guys use soil? And why are you bitching about this with testing? Is like, arsenic is so high in majority of our soils. And like, nobody would think that, I don't think. Like same with kelp, same with like all kinds of products that we love, like bat guano, like, but once you put all these things accumulated together and you do get it tested at parts per billion, and if somebody's not properly flushing their plant or running the extended length of time that they need between their crops to actually get it to properly finish, is I think you're consuming so much more shit than you should. Mercury, arsenic, like it's just, ugh. But I think that they should have to do it for food. And it shouldn't be like go to Whole Foods to get this organically tested food. It should be the standard across the board. Like you said, if we have to do it as the standard across our board, whether you have a shitty dispensary or a bougie one, like you should require that Safeway does this, Whole Foods does it, whoever does this. Is I think, I don't know, they can't be like that. You know, it's very irritating. And the fact that they have these resources. So like these labs cost a lot. This like equipment costs a lot. It's like $500,000 to $1 million to get this equipment. But even if they did parts per million testing, it would still be a good preventative. You would still be able to see like safe or unsafe levels for consumption. And I think if you standardized all this shit, like all of it, like tobacco, I'm saying all the bad stuff. Like I just don't get why weed is classified as something bad, period. And then how food is like, this is all swinging, you know, like even the animals eating the shit. I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? Oh, yeah, I'm all for the organic life. I really am. But you have to do it. People don't realize this dirt used to be a lot better. You know, we've talked about this, but like dirt, quality of soil as a whole, and a lot of our products and amendments were just higher quality back in the day. Now it's like everything's been degraded. And I don't know. Crops are getting like slimmer and slimmer times of like harvest times. Everybody wants these perpetual harvests. Everybody wants all these things, which is great. You can do it with any length of time as well, but everybody wants to do it as quick as possible. And I think it's no different with food and turning over a crop with that. And I think that's when you run into like eating shit that you shouldn't eat. Pesticides, like the residuals are still there, you know? Ew. It's like nobody wants that. As much people may question like something that I'm doing, is the reason I use these pesticides is specifically not at a commercial facility. I use everything compliant to the state. But when I'm doing like actual treatments to heal plants or fix them and I use imidacloprid or something, is I do have ways of getting these products tested and being able to see that there's no residuals before I consume that product ever. So if I take like 3 moms out and actually flower that plant, I'm definitely not concerned. But the fact that we do have testing, I'm like, nope, I don't care. If you do pass your testing and you're not manipulating it, everybody knows like the a-holes that are doing that is like, we're not one of them. It's like, we want to see if our tests, like, you know, what they actually give us as information back. And I think that Big Ag should care more, way more. Sorry for my rant. I'm done. I feel like I have taken Dayquil and NyQuil and every other quill under the sun. As I say all this hippie rant, is I was like, what in the hell is in this cabinet that will fix me? But I will say the Alka-Seltzer works the best. Hippie zombie. Why do so many cups grown with salt speed out organic? Wouldn't the organic grows win every time if it was better? Hippie, I love that you say that, because this is a misconception with salts that I really do want to do a whole episode about and be really thorough, not be sporadic, is because there's been such a misconception with salts and like a miseducation, I think, on all of it. Is salts, I think, work, I can't say better. They work differently. They work extremely differently from one another. But salts almost work better, in my opinion, because you're feeding your plant directly and it's actually able to uptake everything at once. But because a soil blend is manipulating that into like more of a snacking process instead of like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it still works really, really good. But like I said, if the quality of soil or like the amendments that you're adding or some things like that, is your plant could be missing out, or it's a weird thing. I would never say that organic weed doesn't taste incredible, but I think there's too much hydro weed that has been poorly represented as hydro weed, incorrectly flushed and things like that. That hydro weed can taste phenomenal too, though. And the truth is, you want your plant to get these 17 essential nutrients. Like, however the hell it gets it is like, you need to make sure that it's like staying within that pH range that your preference. With soil, I'd recommend, you're a little bit higher than rock wool and cocoa typically, or like a tuber is like, I would say like 6.3. That's what I always ran with soil, is 6.2 to 6.3 was my pH. And like, depending on your compost teas or like your feeds and stuff like that, as I would run like a really low ppm, but my soil was like a really rich soil. So it was a light brew with a rich soil blend. And the second that I saw like my products quality declining as far as like the actual soil, and tried different soil companies and all different things, that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to switch to running a completely different system, because my plants aren't getting what they used to. And when I run salts now, is most of the plants that I fix, I see an automatic transformation, not just even without pesticides or even without doing those first treatments, from them running my salt line. And it is like, if you ran any salt line correctly, I think, is like, you'll see your plants grow out of so much. Like, this is how you can get like old moms to restore and all kinds of shit. Is like, you can never change old growth. So just remove that. But new growth, right? You can change new growth on old moms. You can change new growth on shitty plants, all the things. Is I feel like, so when you see these salts though in the uptake of the plant, like immediately, and you can see the growth within a couple days, like really start fanning out the plant, it's hard to say that that's not better weed, because the plant honestly is just healthier. You don't see like the uptake problems in the stalk and the stem. You never see root rot or like bud rot or anything like that. Like, it's just, I don't know. I would love to show you guys pictures, honestly, to show like different systems that I do think worked really well in the past. And then I think through whatever time is now I think salts are almost more reliable than running some of these other like premixed nutrients or soil blends and things like that. The sterile factor is huge too. It's like I know that's different. It is different, but I think that the less your plant, I mean, the healthier your plant is the whole time, the better your weed's going to be. I mean, it just is the truth. And it's like, I feel like if you're sterile, people hate the idea of this. They really do. They like cringe. You probably all have like, ugh. But if it's sterile, you don't have things like root aphids lingering around. You don't have things like fungus gnats and like shit just like chilling. Right now, we are combating fucking thrips for like the third time this year. And they come from outside, honestly. They come from our property. And I don't care. It's like, it's really easy to kill thrips. It's like, when I say I don't care, I do care. But it takes like 2 weeks of like a battle, you know? And it's pretty mild treatments and things like that. But I think as a whole, though, is like if I have thrips with soil, though, it will take me months to get rid of. And so, like, the more that you're like susceptible to like an insect penetrating the plant or like spreading these diseases, or I don't know, there's a whole different thing. Is we'll just come back to that. Okay, I'm gonna play this show because otherwise I'm just gonna keep going and going and going. And I'll get my shit together and we'll come back to this. But I want you guys to watch, if you can, Jason and I talk about the last couple weeks in a little bit more detail. Jason, this is from his show, and I think he's like a little bit more classy. You guys tell me what you think. But peace and love, and I hope you enjoy. Hold on.
Good evening, everybody. Dark Horse Live, episode 163. Sorry we were gone for the past couple of weeks. We were gone for about 2 weeks, and a whole lot of shit has happened. So, yeah, I'm excited to talk about it this week on the show. We have J-Lo joining us. I'm excited to bring her in. But right off the top, I wanted to give you guys a quick update on C-Bazaar. C-Bazaar orders are officially all out. I dropped them off at about 4 o'clock today. Every single one of them for the 420 orders and before. Some of you guys had to wait 2-3 weeks on that. I apologize. But all orders as of now are out. So your shipping numbers will start updating pretty much tomorrow morning. All right, so you guys should get them towards the end of the week, maybe Monday next week. But all C-Bazaar is gone. Also, right up top of the show, there is an issue on the C-Bazaar right now. Apparently, the merchant account portal is down. You can't process transactions with credit card. We are aware of it. We are fixing it. I think it's something minor, and it's getting worked out right now. But check back tomorrow if you're trying to make a purchase, and you'll get it through probably tomorrow or the next day. But just keep checking back. We're actively working on it as we speak. All right. I'm going to bring in J-Lo right off the jump. J-Lo.
Good evening.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course. So big news everywhere, but I think we'll start with this news. So, if you guys didn't hear, if you're living under a rock, the big news of the week is the U.S., actually the Drug Enforcement Administration, has released a memo or a note saying that they are going to reschedule cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 is their plan. And it's not official law yet. They have to go, I think, has to get approved through Congress and everything else. And there's also a whole round of suggestions and comments that has to go through this. But basically, the DEA is changing its position on cannabis and wants to take it from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. There's a lot to talk about with this one, but I don't know. What was your first thoughts when you heard this, J-Lo?
How devastated I am.
Our first thoughts were not good thoughts. I'm right there with you. And my first thoughts on this is not a good thing. Cannabis shouldn't be a scheduled substance in any form. I think everyone out there would probably agree with that. But if you're not familiar with what Schedule 3 means, it's kind of funny to me because I've seen a lot of people on social media and everyone has their take on this. And I've seen a lot of people kind of saying like this is a good thing, or let's wait and see, or this is a step in the right direction. And dude, you're so fucking wrong. I couldn't tell you how wrong you are. In my opinion, you are so fucking wrong. So Schedule 3 basically means that the substance cannabis would be controlled basically by pharmacies. And we would all need pharmacy licenses and federal pharmacy. We'd run pharmacies and you'd need prescriptions and there'd be dosages and I don't see how this is possibly a good thing that could ever fucking happen. I see people talking about, oh, it'd be good for taxes or interstate commerce or, you know, the one thought I had, which is like, well, if they federally legalize, then I can rent an RV and drive around the country with J-Lo and we can go see everything.
Smoke everywhere.
Smoke everywhere without fear.
That'd
But
be
it's
cool.
not worth the trade-off. It reminds me of California when they did the legalization effort there, and a lot of the old heads were saying, "Don't do this. This is
Yeah.
fucking stupid," and everyone just applauded its way to the dumbest shit I've ever seen. But no, I think this would be the death of the cannabis industry. What's confusing about it to me is this industry has grown so large over the last 10, 15 years that there are now mega players involved, like millions and millions of dollars. It has to be one of the biggest agricultural crops in America. And there's so much invested into it that I don't think you can just snap your fingers overnight and say, oh, it's going Schedule 3 and everyone is now illegal. And you're going to all have to get federal licenses to distribute this product, which that's going to be a fucking absolute nightmare. What I would like to see, for those who are confused a little bit, what my position would be, what I would like to see is cannabis be descheduled altogether. And it should be treated like an agricultural crop. And we should be regulated like an ag crop, and we should be taxed like an ag crop. I don't see why it needs to be under Controlled Substance Act. I'm not sure other Schedule 3 drugs, but I think things like Xanax and like Valium and shit that you get in pill form from a doctor with the script that is oftentimes abused too. That's Schedule 3 drugs, and I think it's fucking terrible. But I don't know. What are you thinking?
I mean, I'm intimidated of the factors. Like, I could see it where OSHA and things like that are eventually going to get involved then. And my first thoughts, honestly, where I was like, we're going to have to tie off pruning and things like that. Like, shit that's extremely annoying and more expensive, honestly, on just protocols. Like, we are extremely regulated, I think, already in Colorado compared to what most people think. And I think there's a lot of pros that could come from this as far as testing and like banking and things like that. But like you said, for what you're jeopardizing though to get that,
Oh, it's not worth it. I mean,
not worth it.
what's the good if you can write off taxes, but the only people who are involved are big pharma?
and you're spending millions, like you said, to
Like,
participate.
we couldn't participate. That's the thing.
No.
And to build, kind of like to your point, like to build a cultivation facility that would be legal under a federal pharmaceutical drug guideline, we would need to spend millions on like just filtration alone. Everyone would be in super clean suits, and like a lot of the facilities act this way. They act like this,
Yeah.
but this would be a whole other thing where OSHA would come in and like you'd have to grow in literally like you're in a moon suit.
Yeah.
And
your logs,
Yeah.
like all the data that you would have to log every time you went to like a second level, which honestly isn't that high. Like, let's just say 6 foot or above is OSHA's like standard, I think, requirements. And so it's like, when I think about how many times though we're stepping on like a step stool and that you would have to like sign a piece of paper and say that you're doing this, and you'd have to have a witness sign the piece of paper that you're doing this task. And
I mean, we're so overregulated as it is.
Yeah.
It's like ridiculous.
It
I
is.
mean, we could go on about that for an hour of this podcast, how ridiculously overregulated we are and how it does require us to like be on camera with our RFID tag track plants with a witness to watch us fucking cut it to like, it's like, what the fuck are we doing here? This is an agricultural crop, dude. This is one of very little value, I might add, at this point. So it's like, what are we doing? But yeah, when I think of this whole federal aspect to it, there's not a lot of it that makes me think that this is something where it's like, oh, great, let's step in the right direction. This is absolutely a step in the wrong direction. If anything, under Schedule 1 right now, the states have developed their own laws and are proceeding how they want to proceed. When you go to Schedule 3, the federal government's going to come in and tell everybody that you're not allowed to do this without a federal license, federal tax, and then they're going to be very picky and stingy about who get these federal distribution licenses and whatnot. And you'll see 95% of the industry, 97% of the industry vanish because big pharma will take this over, pick and choose the large scale grows that they're going to want to buy or retrofit. If not, just not buy any of them and build a mega Tesla-sized facility for cannabis for the United States, and that will be, the source, and it'll probably be owned by Pfizer or some bullshit.
Well, and things like Colin and I were just talking today actually about like product back in the day as far as like soils and even pre-bottled nutrients as a whole is We were talking about how like 12 years ago in this, like I did run a commercial all living soil grow, and we did brew our own teas every like once a week. It was a fresh tea, but the state came in, I want to say around 2013, and said that we weren't allowed to do that. And so the reason I switched to Pro Mix and like things BioBiz and products like that wasn't because I didn't know how to make these blends by myself. It was that you had to have these approved on this list.
They didn't trust you to cook up your own shit anymore.
And it's crazy because actually
Took the headiness right out of the game.
and all the organic products like the essential oils that people suggest and things like that, we're not allowed to compliantly use.
Yeah.
And it's like so ass backwards, honestly.
Or you can use it, but you have to lie about the reason why you're using it, like a neem oil or something. You know, that's the most basic one. But you can't say you use neem oil for bugs or a treatment, a pesticide, because that's a flag. But you can say you use it as a leaf polish. We all wink, wink, like, what the fuck?
That's like my fear with all of that as well, though, is the more regulated it gets in that direction, though, you won't be able to just use your preference in a cocoa company or a soil blend. Is like, I could see them totally changing.
Sure. But I will say this, is it's like, seems like this is all doom and oh my God, this is like doomsday. Such a sad Dark Horse Live. I tell you what, I don't believe this shit. I just don't believe it, because every time the Biden administration, and I hate doing politics on this show, but every time the Biden administration wants a bump in politics, something like this happens cannabis related. And but yet they never stick to their word of what they say they're going to do. They've yet to do that once. There's still so many people in prison that they said that they were going to release. So it's like they don't hold their word on this shit. It's headline clickbait bullshit. And like I said, it's still got to go through a few rounds of committee. And I believe that a lot of people in this country will probably be speaking up, screaming to their local elected officials, to whatever it may be, to kind of get in their ear about, we don't want this, nobody wants this. But we'll see. We'll see. Because like I say, I'm not overly concerned in the sense that like, oh, it's the end of Dark Horse as we know it. Not at all. I think that if they do go to Schedule 3, then they'll have to loosen restrictions for the ability to get those licenses like they never have for a federally controlled product, because everybody that owns these dispensaries across America is not going to qualify for this federal program they want. And at the same time, I just feel like there'll probably be an insane federal tax that'll come with this. Yeah. There's already insane taxes, like 22 to 30% tax per every state that we got to look at. Yeah. So you're going to add a federal tax now of more points on the dollar? Like, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I'd much rather see a push for, like I say, deschedule it, treat it like an ag crop.
It's hard because I think like starting in the beginning, like when we really talk about this, being in the medical scene and like how you had to have balls to like really even do this or participate in like at any scale. I don't care if you had 10 lights to 600 is, I think there's like a heartbreaking part to watching all of the states evolve over the years, just in general, is like you said, is you never want to see anybody arrested for this or like in any of the like, or ill and they can't use this product and things like that. So there's definitely benefits I see, but at the same time, I watch the quality and like the treatment of like employees and I even customers, you know, like it just changed. It's like the quality, the standards.
Sure. Well, that leads me to my next story, which I have for us, which is MedMen. I don't know if you saw this, but right around the same time, about the day before the DEA announced this announcement, MedMen made a pretty big announcement that kind of went industry-wide. And to me, this is something to rejoice about. I hate to celebrate one's failure, but at the same time, MedMen was one of the evilest companies that ever existed in the cannabis space, and they actively lobbied to keep people from home growing, to keep people out of, you know, like I'm trying to think of the jurisdictional bubble. They tried to, limit the number of stores, limit the number of grows, and try to monopolize this industry. And at one time, we're called the Apple Store or the Apple of cannabis, which I think is disgraceful. But at the same time, it's like this is a massive company that we've seen just make huge acquisitions, keep buying, think they could buy the marketplace. But this also goes to my point of why I don't think the DEA rescheduling really changes much, because there has been people with $410 million at their disposal that still fucking couldn't navigate this shit in a way. And it's like, that's why I say this is the death of corporate cannabis, because we are watching these huge MSOs. Now, they're not totally gone. Some of them totally still exist, but they are record losses. They can't sustain them. They have way too many stores and there's a few markets that they'll probably try to capitalize in, meaning like Florida and New York and some of these spots where it's like
Yeah.
maybe Chicago a little bit, where it's like, all right, we're going to hold firm here and try to take this one market when they wanted to take the entire market, the entire United States. So you'll see them hang around a little bit, but to see MedMen fold like this, to me, is a shift in the right direction of what cannabis became. Because as you said, we've kind of seen cannabis turn shitty. Like the dispensaries, everything has turned shitty. So it's like, all right, well, what's the end result of that? Time for the mega corporations that never knew how to grow cannabis in the first place, never had a clue how to grow cannabis, are now finding it hard to compete in the space, even when they're trying to give this shit away. When pounds crumble to $400 to $600 wholesale, whatever they may be in your region, but when they crumble, all of a sudden the margins on this shit doesn't so attractive, and the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And these guys are $410 million in debt.
Well, first of all, who the fuck, like, what facility are they operating? Like, I feel like it has to have gold walls and like a silver floor or something. There's got to be something really bougie in here because I want to know how you could spend $410 million.
It's not, just to be clear, it's not one store.
Oh, okay.
MedMen is like a chain. They're actually in Colorado for a while, but they're
didn't know that.
everywhere. They went to New York. I think MedMen was behind some of the lawsuits that blocked a lot of people from New York from getting their licenses.
Oh, okay.
MedMen's heavy in Florida, big in California.
I didn't
But
know that.
yeah, they're the true definition of an MSO. So they bought large and in charge. They spent a ton of money. And all over the place. It reminds me of ways of Dan Blazarian and his bullshit Ignite company, where it's like it doesn't matter how much fucking money you get,
Yeah.
and you put $400 million, $500 million into some shit, and you buy up all these locations all across America, and you say you're a publicly traded company, and you're like, we're real now, and it's like you have no fucking clue what you're doing.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to shop at these stores because the fucking weed sucked. The weed absolutely sucked, and that's why they went out of business.
I have this like hippy dippy theory that HLBD and Fusarium is this way of the plant trying to protect itself at this point. Is like to the true lovers of cannabis and like the true like growers and breeders that truly care about this, because I feel like there's a touch that I think the community has lost touch in, because I think they've been lied to so much as consumers, especially when Colorado was the only state legal.
Right.
You saw all these people come in and all these people with no experience, like telling these people how it was grown and them having no fucking idea as bud tenders or.
Well, this one's a crazy one in my opinion because it is such a large. It's one of the largest companies in North America for cannabis. It's literally, without a doubt, it's one of the largest companies there is. So large that you could almost look at them as like, I almost look at the situation like GameStop.
Yeah.
Where it's like the small farmers and the smokers, the true cannabis people, are like the people that were pushing GameStop. And then these are like the hedge fund guys or like the big fucking evil fucking other side.
Yeah.
Betting, like laughing in their suits and their helicopters being like, yeah, you think that you're going to win, but you're not going to win because we'll change all the rules and we'll change all the shit. And it was just like, you don't know the people. You don't know the market. You don't know the industry. And the people pushed back on your shit and it crumbled at your footsteps. Like, and again, I hate to like cheer in the downplay of someone's tragedy, but at the same time, just like, you deserve this. Like, you deserve this, and this is the people clapping back, saying this is not what we want. When we thought about legalized cannabis, like, we didn't want MedMens of America or the True Leaves or some of these giant companies that are just fucking everywhere, fucking with markets, manipulating licenses, bribing people in certain instances and shit. Like, this is a pushback from, in my opinion, this is a pushback from the people that are saying it doesn't matter if you want to buy cannabis and just buy up the market space, buy everything. You're still not going to win.
I think it's interesting though, is when you think back like 10 years ago, I'm not sure if you ever went through this situation, but I would talk to investors and I would say that I was going to open Treat and have this connoisseur dispensary, you know, and that I was going to finish my flower later and all this stuff that I thought was so cool, you know, and they'd be like, dude, nobody's going to give a fuck and nobody's going to pay you more for your weed like that. They were like, I don't care how good you can grow. People just don't care about weed.
Yeah. There's a hedge fund thing, a calculator game to them where it's like, cut your weed at day 55, push units, give me 3 crops more a year. And you know what I mean? And like, that's success as opposed to, let's grow fire flower and sell it to the community and they'll love us.
And we see it now, like honestly, even in Colorado with some of our biggest competitors or like biggest brands here for quality is like, we do hear behind the scenes stuff, and like you do learn information about these companies, and you're like, you are harvesting your shit extremely early.
Almost everybody cuts early. That's basically what you're getting at.
Yeah, that's
almost
exactly.
everybody's chopping early out here.
And it's for the appearance factor. It's like it's so the trichomes look extremely white and it looks extremely frosted, and they're avoiding obstacles like fusarium flaring in their room past week 6 and some of these other things, testing, all kinds of factors, but it's made it where consumers think that aesthetically we should look a certain way that's honestly not finished.
Totally. And it tastes like shit.
And
Doesn't get you high as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I'm going to move it on to just our travels. You and I have been everywhere. We have put some air miles in, coach. Not going to lie. We are not
Super coach.
We are not first class people. I don't care what anyone says about us. They think we're fucking rich over here. No, we are not first class people.
We're middle
I
seaters.
make you middle seated every fucking
guess
time.
I'm a middle
That's the
seater.
luxury of buying 2 tickets. Is they're gonna put you together. Somebody's middle, and that's always gonna be little J-Lo over here.
Bullshit.
But yeah, we did some air miles. We went all the way out to Hawaii to do this Aloha Cup, and yeah, what I have to say about this one. This was a really cool event. I think it was a second year event. They might have done it. It might have been first year, but I think it was a second year event.
Ooh.
But this was really fucking cool. So first of all, shout out to my guy Stone Ninja. I'm not sure if he's here.
And Blue.
Yeah, Blue's here too. Ninja and Blue. Shout out to my homies, Stone Ninja and Blue. But I got to say this much about Ninja real quick. I was so impressed with Ninja. He's probably gonna be like, whatever, dude. But like, I was so impressed with Ninja on this trade show, just because I've watched Ninja like work all through the COVID time, like power through all the COVID shit, just keep traveling, keep grinding, keep working, where a lot of people kind of held back a little bit. But I remember a time when Ninja would come and kind of just jump in our booth and show up with a box of seeds and have a menu and just be chilling.
Gosh.
And it was like, Ninja's here and he's got his packs over there. This time when I went out, I didn't know what to expect at this event, but Ninja got the booth and he was gracious enough to let me jump in his booth this time. So I crashed in Ninja's booth this time. And when I showed up to the event late, as pretty much always do, we showed up to the event and when I walked to Ninja's booth, I was like, motherfucker, like, this dude's hustling. Like, I know he's been hustling, but he had the merch, he had the shirts, he had the seeds, he had the colognes going, he had fucking the goodies. That's all. He had the goodies going, and I was just like, God damn! Like, I didn't tell you that, Ninja, but I was like proud of you. I was proud of the hustle, proud of the trap, proud of all of it. I was just like,
And he was a judge.
and he was judging the cup, and I was just like, not to say that, Ninja's come along. Ninja's always been a legend, but I'm just sort of saying, like, to walk into that thing and watch Ninja just hustle the fuck out of that booth and shit, I was just like, I was the guy standing there with the menu and a box of seeds, you know what I mean? Just like, yeah, I got some beans and shit, and like, I was like, dude, like, yeah, I don't know, I'm proud of Ninja. Ninja crushed it, and it was so gracious of him to allow us to kind of just
Yes.
crash in. But yeah, Ninja did a fucking fantastic job at that event. But more to the event, it was cool as fuck. It was really cool. So if you guys get a chance to go, even if you're in the mainland, you might think about wanting to go to this one. It was on tribal land in Hawaii, which is fucking awesome. It's basically like a Native Indian reservation type deal in the mainland. But that means no cops. Like, no cops can come.
Places like that.
Literally no cop. They had a giant gate at the entryway, and like, you were on the kingdom land as soon as you come in, and like, there ain't no 5-0 in there. Like, and they, were obviously invited in to do this event here. The most kind fucking people, the most gracious fucking people. Everybody there was loving it. Everybody was so chill. Reminded me of
Smoking
like
blunts?
10 years ago vibes at these little tiny little sessions where it was just like everyone's smoking, everyone's vibing. It's obviously Hawaii, good times, weather's beautiful. Like, where the location is it's like you're at the no shit. It's like having a party at the base of Jurassic Park waterfall.
Definitely.
It was fucking sick. You're just in a rainforest, just chilling, smoking
Yep.
with zero fear. Not that I fear much of like smoking pot, but still, it's like, dude, no one's gonna come up on you and be like, I'm undercover. You're fucking at the chillest spot on earth,
Yes.
just vibing, chilling. Everybody was so cool, and there was tons of like, I don't want to sound like an arrogant way, but there was like tons of like new startup seed guys, and I was just like walking around, just kind of like, hey, like, you got some stuff, you got some all island stuff. All of it, I think Ninja and I were, and I'm forgetting his name. I'm sure Ninja will throw him in the
Chris.
chat. Yeah, Chris, our buddy. our new buddy that was out there with some rosin chilling or whatever.
Beautiful stuff.
But yeah, chill ass dude from Oregon. But yeah, we were pretty much the only dudes not from Hawaii chilling. So like, but everybody there was so nice, like just so cool. Such a well put together event. Like,
Yeah.
you show up and you're like, what is this going to be? I think even Ninja warned me. He's like, it kind of looks like a shit show when you pull up. He's like, but trust me, it's chill. I was like, all right, we're coming. So when we pulled in, it was like, where do we park? We're like parked in some dude's front yard, basically. And then a gator comes by and he's like, you guys need to ride up? And you just jump
That was
in.
the best part.
Just motor you right on up and super chill sesh. But
They had like 4-wheelers picking up people,
That's what I'm
and
saying.
it was just like such a cool.
very well put together, very chill. I would recommend anyone go to it next year. I hope it grows. I don't want it to get too big where it comes stupid, but I just want it to just stay like awesome like it was. But yeah, like I said, that was really cool event. I was really happy to do that one, and just that's probably the first event we've done in over a year. So it's just cool to get out there and see people. Like I'm
And-
laughing because like I'm rusty. Like I used to have my lines like, come on in, let me show you my seeds. You know, like dude, I haven't done this in a minute. I was like, hi, I have weed seeds for sale. I sell seeds, and it's just like, man, I'm not with my flow today.
I felt like you flowed great. I think that it was refreshing though to be around a crowd like that. Like you said, as far as they were very passionate about growing, but they didn't have a lot of experience as like a mass. And usually in Denver, everybody's like flexing. I feel like everybody's coming in hot, kind of like a weird vibe. I felt like that was just like very respectful. Everybody was just so kind to one another.
Ninja says he wasn't supposed to have mainland vendors. He snuck us all in. I would like to point out I own some Hawaiian land, and I have the ink that means I'm Hallie to the max. Okay? But yeah, anyway, the show was sick. It was awesome. Hawaii's chill. I wish we could have been there longer. As always, you
I was
have any
gonna say.
comments on Hawaii in general?
I feel like it's just, yeah, it was really nice. It was a really good time. They did smoke more blunts too. Let me like point that out though. Is I immediately walked in and where the booth was chill too because you could smoke. And I like looked right behind where Ninja and Jason were posted up, and there was these like 4 guys smoking a blunt, and I was like, that is my squad. I feel like that was nice. You don't usually find blunt smokers anymore. I'll be honest.
Shout out to Soda Bean Co. who gave me this hat.
Very nice.
But our travels continued. We came back to Denver for literally like a day. It's like 24 hours. Didn't really even unpack a suitcase. And immediately jumped a plane to Minneapolis, Minnesota. And yeah, we went out to Minnesota. Never been in my life. But yeah, I didn't know what to expect on this one either. This is another one where very last minute, we got a booth pretty cheap because they only had a few left, and they hit us up, and we're like, you know, I'm gonna fucking take that. I'm gonna take that booth. I'm gonna go out to Minnesota and just see what the fuck happens. And boy, was I glad that I did. I really was. Like, this is another one where you can tell I must be in a good mood today or something, but literally, like, this one was so fun. It uplifted me a lot. The Minnesotan people are fucking cool. Like,
oh my gosh.
Minnesota nice is now a term that I'll use because these people are so fucking nice. Like, these people are so fucking nice. Like I say, they are just getting started in Minnesota, so you can feel the excitement. It's like there's electricity in the air in Minnesota. So a lot of people are kind of coming up like, I'm doing my first tent. I got my first pack going. I want to go for one of these micro licenses. I'm gonna try to do a store. And so many people came and say, I watched the show. So many people said they watched the Space in It or the Home Grow TV episode
Yes.
with Dakota. And I was just like, man, like, that's really cool that so many people came up. And like I said, Minnesota people, fucking nice. Like, they were just so genuinely kind and genuinely, like, interested in what you have to tell them. Like, this sounds bad maybe again, but sometimes when we go to other places that are very cannabis saturated, everyone's an expert, right?
Yes.
Like, no one wants to learn anything. Everyone knows everything. Like
Like,
let
crush
me
your
tell you
soul.
about all my shit. Like, I don't care what the fuck you do. I got my shit on lock, and I'm better than you. And go to Minnesota for fucking 48 hours. It'll refresh your soul. You could just explain to people how, you know, it's just about products, about stuff, and just really interested, eager to learn, like hungry for the knowledge. a lot of people that were from other places had moved to Minnesota to get into, like a lot of Colorado people were in Minnesota that would
there
stop
was a
by.
lot.
They were like, oh, we know you guys. And I was like, oh, you guys moved out here. They're getting started in Minnesota.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Don't you know?
I feel like we
Don't
gotta
you know?
shout out Gerhardt while we're talking about Minnesota people in the chat. Gerhardt is amazing, and I know he's from there. But they are the nicest people I have ever met in my life, and everywhere. But I feel like at the event, especially, I have never ever experienced that where everybody.
It was different. That's why we're going on and on about it. I feel like people just think we're
Sparkly.
being overly nice or something because some people bought some packs or whatever. No, like it was a noticeable
weird.
difference, even from Denver. And I love my hometown. Trust me, I'm a Denver guy. But we got some assholes here. Like just coming back from Minnesota, driving home from the airport, I probably got flipped off 3 times, fucking honked at, cussed at, fucking whatever. And out there is just like I say, you could leave your door unlocked, your car unlocked. Like I swear, it's just fucking chill.
We went to the mall, and I thought that this was interesting.
forgot.
The Mall of America.
And when you take J-Lo to Minneapolis, Minnesota, you have to take a stop at the Mall of America, which was my first ever visit to the Mall of
Phenomenal.
America. This is not really cannabis related, but let's talk about Mall of America. Holy shit, what is this place?
Well, yeah.
This is fucking insane in there.
Next level, straight up.
Dude, it is so big. So big. You've heard Mall America's big? Dude, it is so
They have like a
fucking
Six
big.
Flags by the eating. Like I guess like
There's
the
an
West
amusement
Wing.
park in the middle. The way it's basically set up is there's a west side and an east side, and the west side is like 5 levels of the biggest mall you've already seen. Sometimes the stores just repeat because they're just like, fuck it. Would you like to see 3 of these fucking Pacific Sunwears and 3 Victoria's Secrets?
I was
And
getting lost.
It was just like, what?
Biggest Victoria's
17 Foot Lockers in that bitch or whatever. But you just kind of keep walking, and it's just the craziest shit ever. And then in the middle, there's a giant amusement park. Like Nickelodeon Fun Zone,
Ninja
Ninja
Turtle.
Turtle rides, fucking roller coasters. And then you go to the left side, and it's a whole other 5 layers of the same shit. And I was like, we only did the west side, and we did about 3 or 4 layers, and we were there for like 4 fucking hours till my back hurt. And I was like, let's get the fuck out of here.
Well, every store I went to though is like I had like a blunt in my pocket or something, and I wasn't thinking about it. And like we went and got this dog toy, and like the guy at the register's like, "Dude, you smell good." And like I thought I was almost in trouble for some reason because like I'm not from there. I'm like, fuck. And
Even the soap place, we went into the soap store,
store.
and it just reeks like soap. You go up to the cash register, like, dude, you smell like OG or something. I was just like, looking at her like, everywhere we fucking go, you can't hide anything.
they were very cannabis friendly though. Like the people we ran into.
That was the thing. It felt like everyone was a square.
Yeah.
But then they'd smile at you, be like, you smell like weed.
Yeah, you'd
Like with
be
a straight face, and you'd be
"Oh."
like, oh shit, I'm sorry. And they'd be like, nah, it's all good. And you'd be like, okay, so everybody here loves weed. That they're also like, that was the thing with the trade show. I don't know if we should even talk about this,
I
but
know.
like going outside to burn. Like at every trade show I've ever been in my entire life, you go outside and there's a massive circle of people somewhere. You know what I mean? Like you just kind of join up in this circle, and there's strength in numbers in that circle
Yes.
where it's like there's not gonna be like some cops run in and arrest everybody. It's just whatever. But in Minnesota, it was kind of like there really wasn't. So I heard there was a little one out front, but in the back where J-Lo and I would dip out, it was like no one there.
Nobody.
And we were sitting out there smoking a little bit, taking our smoke breaks outside, being chill and respectful, by the smoking
Super
section.
respectful.
And there's a couple of guys that come by and be like, this is not, you cannot smoke here.
Yeah.
And we'd be like, we're sitting at the cigarette smoking station,
Smoking is sick.
smoking whatever,
Ish.
weed. I'll say it. And I'm just like, what? Like, yeah, we can. And we're so like Denverized that we're just like, totally. Like, you can't? Totally. Like, just,
He
I'm
was
not
so
going to put this
upset.
out. He's like, there's a camera right there. I was just like, I know. Like, I don't give a shit.
We were
But-
like, we'll just talk to them when they come.
but they also said Minnesota's strange because like I think they voted officially rec, but they haven't instituted the laws.
That's
So I think the laws go into effect next July.
Fernando.
So it's in that weirdo spot. But yeah, I suppose you should shout out Fernando. I don't have his product. We should have showed it on the show.
dang. We'll show it soon. Is Fernando had it, but it was interesting because of that law though. Is there was like a confusion with some of the booths that set up there though, which I thought that was kind of hard. I imagine for some of those vendors though that they had cannabis product because they thought they were allowed to have cannabis product and they weren't allowed. But then Fernando has this Crystal Light pack essentially ish.
Crystal Light.
And they're like 5 mg packs with THCA though is what it said on the pack, right?
Yeah, derived from hemp.
Derived from hemp.
So this was a weird thing at the trade show where they kind of came around and started telling a lot of vendors they couldn't sell their products before they wouldn't open the doors. Their
That's what it
insurance
was.
people were there, and the insurance people said we couldn't open the doors until all the THC products were off the show floor. So they went around like crazy trying to tell people to remove products left and right. But a lot of the products were totally legal products.
Yes.
So there was a bit of a standoff, which kind of delayed the opening of the place for like an hour, with some people being like, no, I'm keeping my products, and we went back and forth. But yeah, these guys across the way, though, they were fucking a couple of characters that I liked them a lot. But yeah, Fernando, the one, I want to call him kid, but he's like 27 years old.
Yeah.
That's what he says. But yeah, the one guy was like, he couldn't really sell his product, so he just sort of sampled it and just kept there. He kept drinking the samples. So by the end of the day, he was lit. He was just fucking a riot, dude, running around being a goof, dude. He was hilarious.
He's definitely a character.
But yeah, shout out Lucky Leaf. That was a fun show. I see the potential. I see that one building. I'd like to come back again. All the Minnesota people were awesome. Like again, I
Yes.
just want to stress like how over the top nice everyone was to us, from just fucking the people at the hotel to the everything but your fucking airport.
Ooh, yeah.
But that was a TSA issue, and fuck TSA
That's
in
always
every
like that.
airport across America. But yeah, we'll move on.
Jason
from that.
always has to get pulled aside.
It's true.
Oh, can you at least mention your duct tape and zip ties?
On the way out, we were in a rush, and yeah, I was like throwing everything in the bag, but in the kit, you don't ever really know how you're going to hang a banner at your booth. So I usually bring a roll of duct tape, some zip ties, maybe some string. But my suitcase was pushing fucking 40, 50 pounds, whatever the limit was. So I just said, fuck it, grabbed my roll of duct tape and my zip tie, threw it in my backpack, which had almost nothing else in it but a laptop. And I'm going through the airport, and I realized, I looked at JLo, and I'm like, you think they're going to be sketched out that the only thing in my backpack is zip ties and duct tape, and I'm traveling with you? Like
I felt so young.
a young, hot blonde girl, and they're just going to be like, are you okay, ma'am? Like, but of course, the duct tape and zip ties got me pulled to secondary screening, where the guy took one look at me, and he's like, have a nice day. But yeah, I recommend packing other shit in your suitcase other than zip ties and duct tape, because you look pretty sketch. All right. There's one thing I also want to shout out some of these dudes. I'm going to say it wrong. Saphorex.
I know it's. I felt the same way.
Saphorex. These are chlorine tablets, but it's kind of a cool product. I'm not really qualified to speak on it. Maybe we'll get them on the show to talk about it. But they hooked us up with like a year's supply of this stuff. But you can probably speak to it just a little bit better. But it's basically like a cleaning product, like cleaning agent, or I mean, it's used agriculturally. But yeah, go ahead and kind of explain what you understood it to be. But I wanted to shout them out because they gave us so much product.
Well, I've been like seeking out this company because, or any product similar to this, because there is like risk, they say, with running H2O2 with like your terpenes later in flower, like not early in flower so much. But anyways, and so chlorine based products you hear are better than, to just take that path. Anyway, so they have all of the tablets for all the things that you mentioned. It was like sterilizing a room or a space with like a type of gas, basically, or slow release.
It's a slow release chlorine tablet when activated with water, so it kind of like cleans your environment, cleans your room. It's kind of like a fogger, but a safe one. You know what I mean?
And same with like the water. I thought it was cool because they made it way easier, where some of these products intimidate people to use, and they just made it like extremely user friendly. I think that we should wait and to have them on the show because I think that they're excited to talk about this with us. But I think that it's worth checking out. He says that you can run it if you're even running like an organic system, if you run it low enough, as like he was talking to us, even parts as low as like 5 ppm of some of their products, but doing it like on a regular application instead of.
Totally. I'd say it has ability to potential. I mean, we got to talk to him, and I got to test this before I tell all the viewers that I got the new thing. But he was talking to us about potentially using it for like PM issues and
Testing.
all kinds of stuff. Yeah, for keeping your environment clean, for testing purposes, and all kinds of other applications. So yeah, he gave us a whole buttload of it, and I'm gonna go fucking try it out. And yeah, we'll report back what we kind of find out a little bit. We'll try to get them on the show so they can explain it much better than I. They had a fancy scientist, 2 or 3 scientist guys that were talking circles around me and you a little bit, but at the same time, I believe what they were saying to be superior to just bleach and water.
Well, I think it's a beautiful situation. The more sterile, I think, or the more clean you can keep things.
Excellent. So that's kind of a have for a recap. I did want to talk a dispensary update real quick. Dark Horse bought a dispensary. If you didn't see last week's show, we went ahead and bought a dispensary. So I'm officially what you call like house poor, where we're shop poor. So yeah, it was not an easy thing for us to do, or for I should say me to do. But yeah, we've got a dispensary. A lot of the paperwork finally came through the other day, so it's closer than I thought it was going to be as far as timing. But I don't have an official date for you guys. But yeah, well, I'm at the point now where I need to start looking for a few specific people. We're going to need a couple of bud tenders. I want to shout that out right now. We're going to need a couple of bud tenders. I'd like you to be experienced, although you don't necessarily have to be, because we can train you up. But really, I'd like a couple of experienced bud tenders, particularly people that are experienced with Flow Hub. I believe that'll be the point of sale that we're going to use. But this is Denver, Colorado. Yeah, we're going to need a couple of bud tenders. I'm also looking for a couple of joint rollers. I'm going to try to work something out with my guy Stone Ninja, where we're going to have some Ninja doinks, potentially. That's the plan. We're going to try to get some Ninja rolls in here, but I don't want to use, as I vowed to on the last show, I don't want to use knock boxes. I don't want to do trim, crumble, floor dust pre-rolls for $1. I want to hand roll fire cannabis joints, and I want all pre-rolls out of this shop to be hand rolled. So I'm looking for some people who are really killer at hand rolling joints. You got to be fast, you got to be efficient, but more than anything, they have to be consistent, uniform. Again, we're not going to talk prices or anything, hours or wages on this show, but if you can roll joints like a motherfucker and you're in Denver, Colorado, and I'm talking high quality, perfect joints, which is a very keen skill, I want to talk to you. So yeah, we're looking for that. Also in the chat, anyone kind of chime in on this, but I'm not looking for Colorado specific comments. But I'm curious as to what products some people would like to see regarding edibles, lotions, salves, drink, those kind of things. What are your favorite products? Gummies. Tell us what you want in the shop, at least to get started. My vision is potentially just to use Dark Horse flower once we get the garden completely online, to use Dark Horse flower for a lot of the products. But as we open, we're going to open it up with a lot of the products, and I want to make sure that we got what everyone's after. I'm curious as what everyone thinks the best is. Why you think it's the best. Let us know what we should carry in the shop, because I'm going to be very selective. But yeah, shop is coming. Shop is coming fast. I'll say somewhere around July, official. But it'll probably be soft open way before that. So yeah, stay tuned. Things are moving quickly now, and I feel like I'm a little bit behind. So it's time to start looking at getting some help. But yeah. Jayla, you excited?
I'm super excited.
Looking at having some treat products potentially coming down the line.
I think that the new warehouse, like the new grow, is kind of like the most exciting part for me. I think the store is great for Dark Horse, for the brand, like all of these things. It's going to be phenomenal. But I think it is very exciting to be getting a lot more square footage and having, I don't know.
We're putting the whole factory under one roof. It's a Fantasy Factory official. Like, it's going to have a lot larger grow. We're moving the MIP over there. Going to have the retail store going on over there. Like, a lot of stuff happening in-house. And, yeah, a lot of exciting shit to come for Denver. And, yeah, I'm excited about it. Really, truly am. Yeah, with that said, I wanted to touch real quick on something that you were talking to me about, just growing. I don't know. We talked cocoa, rock wool. I saw you get fresh with somebody in the comments a few days ago about someone who's telling you that you're stupid for using cocoa and rock wool. And I guess it would be the concept of like a double pot. Like, I don't know if people are familiar with double potting, but you used to be very commonplace where you take your 1 gallon in soil, take your 1 gallon and put it in a 5 gallon and leaving the top almost 3/4 of it exposed.
Yeah.
So that the roots will grow deeper into it and you allow air into the sides. And yeah, it was called elevated double potting back in the day. It was a heady tech. But yeah, now we're using 4-inch rock wool cubes and sticking them in some rock wool about, I don't know, half buried. And things are banging. Things are fucking looking fantastic. I like the transition. I like what I see. But I just wanted your comments on it. Somebody said you were stupid for doing that. So why does he think you're stupid?
I mean, I think that honestly, it doesn't like really piss me off. It's like I can see where people would think that this was like strange or like it wouldn't like make sense.
It looks weird, like you're an idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I
if you know what
could
you're
understand
doing-
where they're coming from.
If you know what you're doing, it's the purpose. There's a purpose behind it.
Yeah, like I just wish that sometimes like people would, I don't know, like feel out a question more when it's like, anyways. But I think this system, as I've ran at like multiple companies as well, is successfully, would I say that, is like Harmony Extracts, and plenty of other, it doesn't matter, but they just placed at Spanibus again. And I think that when you're combating things commercially, period, like when you want to keep a sterile environment and get the most out of your plant, I believe this after working at Rare Dankness, honestly, and running Rockwool, slightly different system, you know, but similar, is cocoa is really just like a buffer to the Rockwool. Instead of using slabs like we did at Rare Dankness, is you're using cocoa because if like your pumps go out, like some of the obstacles we actually ran into at Rare Dankness, like if the drip line gets shut off for whatever reason, or like a drench application, something like that, is you'll kill thousands of plants. And like things like that can go awry when you're like relying on a staff, or like you have a lot of movement in a grow, or the power goes out, you know, like say there's work getting done on your street.
Right.
It's like they're not very forgiving. So anyways, it's like when you look at things like HLVD and Fusarium nowadays and combating like root aphids or just all kinds of like fungus gnats, thrips, like I don't know. I think that this is like a good system to keeping your plant like that root ball where it's not saturated. It's like actually drying out, but it has like this buffer of the cocoa. And I think like how you feed these plants is extremely important as well. Is like if this person, I'm assuming the person that was talking shit to me is probably running a soil like system. I'm sure they're running like, I don't know, Jeremy's like Build a Soil or something like that. And those are beautiful lines. Like it's nothing, but it's completely different. It's like we're watering these plants and feeding our plants every like 4 times a day, hypothetically, but they're eating a different range, like within all those feedings, and they have like a different dry bag time. All this different shit is going
Completely
on.
different. It's apples to oranges.
Exactly.
Kind of your point, yeah.
Yeah, and you have a dripper that's like placed in the actual 4-inch block, and it's a stake that actually penetrates fully into the medium, and then you have the other one into the actual cocoa. So I don't know, depending, like you said, on how you're running your system, it's like hard to describe it like quickly on a show like this. It could be a show within itself. Is like this EC and how you're manipulating this system is completely different than like if you're running a living soil system or
Right.
hand watering, honestly. Like
Even following like a nutrient feed chart's not the same as what you're doing.
no, thank you for touching on that. It's like, so he like mentioned the Floraflex, which we love Floraflex, but we're not running their nutrients particularly. And we honestly are running like kind of a weird system because we're using Floraflex's pots with Netafim drippers because our stalks are too big to be held in the caps. And I feel like, I don't know.
It's definitely
like,
a hybrid, so I could see why it might be confusing to somebody because it's a little bit of everyone's shit.
Yeah.
But we use the best parts of everybody's stuff.
That's exactly
all I'll say.
And I feel like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know where I was going to go with this. You just asked something and I put hash in this blunt and
No, that's it. That's a wrap on thought. Now, there's a couple people in the chat.
the treat nutrients. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Is the EC is like the reason that like my nutrients line is different than these other companies like Athena and stuff like that is because we're feeding with the same nutrients like so our clones eat at 1.4 is the EC that we sit at. And as they mature and get older, I'll increase that range by like manipulating the dry back time and things like that. But the hottest I ever see our feed go, and it's with big plants and flower, is like, let's just say an EC of 2 for those that like are running salt mixes. And this, you're using the same parts in every single, like in cloning, veg, flower, like it never changes. There's no like, this is for flower and this is for
It's
veg.
almost like a universal system.
Yeah, and so if you're
Which
running
is easier for a lot of people, I think, to follow or maintain or understand.
and it has everything that you need in it. It is synthetic salts, but the thing is we run an all natural line. It's like derived from all organic products, and yeah, I just feel like it's just different.
It's
Thank
good,
you.
is what it is. All right, so yeah, there's a couple people in chat I just wanted to address. I mean, we don't usually like feed the trolls or anything. I don't even know if you're trying to be trolls, but Butters, if you want me to get in touch with Rooted Leaf, we'll get him in touch. We'll put him on the show. I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, my friend, but yeah, we don't use Athena. I don't know if you're just spamming to like sell some product, but that's probably not the best way. Just hit me up, darkhorsegeneticslive@gmail.com. Tell me how to get a hold of Rooted Leaf, and I'll reach out to him, and we'll see if we can get him on the show. Also, Terp Titan. I don't really. You've been kind of like going ham for a minute. I think you're the guy that got upset after the homegrown TV video. This all goes back to fake seeds or something like that. But you're saying that I don't like people breeding with my shit. Let's see. I want to try to find it. This is kind of the same comment that you've spammed like all over the internet. If it's not you, then someone did. Apparently this is the thing now. But I target breeders and admittedly use ResDog's gear to create Bruce Banner, but others can't use others' gear to make hybrids. Is wild, contradictory stance.
Don't you have another company with Night Owl, like, or another project with
Yeah, but that's
Dark Owl?
I don't think that's anything that he's talking about here.
Well, I'm just
basically,
saying, use Bruce with a lot.
Well, what I would say is, I don't have that stance. I've never had that stance. I don't care what anybody makes with anything. What I didn't like about the ABCs of fake seeds was people trying to use the exact same name to sell seeds of a popular strain that was created by somebody. I don't care if you use Bruce Banner. I don't care if you use Bruce Banner males. I don't care where you get your males. I don't care what you reverse. I don't care who you cross to who, to what, to how. I could give a flying fuck. Truly, I don't have a stance of being contradictory about other people can't use shit. I don't care what anyone uses. What I care about is if Bruce Banner is the strain that's real coming from the source, and then someone decides to call their completely other genetics Bruce Banner because they know it's going to sell well, that's unethical. That's the whole point of the thing. Not that fuck everyone else. I mean, I don't know. Like I say, there's a lot of people from AB Seeds to Fake Seeds that I guess took it the wrong way, and a lot of people that understood what we're going with it. But I'll just say this much with these type of comments. I don't target any breeders as far as I'm aware of. We showed people that essentially have been notoriously knocking off white label clone only strains, but I wouldn't call them breeders. So I haven't targeted any breeders. But yeah, with that said, I'm not going to give you too much time. I just want to address you. I see you, but I think you're off base with this one. So if I'm wrong, then yeah, we can talk about it. Potentially an email if you'd like, but I don't think spam in the chat is necessarily appropriate either, my friend. All right, moving on. I want to get to basically Dutch. I think we're going to do sponsors. Get the fuck out of here. Do you have anything that you want to talk about before we get out of here?
No, I think that was really nice of you. And I think that we're going to have to do Minnesota again. And
Don't
Hawaii.
you know? You betcha. You betcha. Don't you
And
know?
to the guys in the chat, though, that are awesome. Joffrey, like, there's so many, I feel like, that are just amazing. Michelle, I'm grateful for them.
Right.
Gerhardt.
See if we can find the Dutch thing real fast.
Dutch is amazing, too.
We love Dutch. There it is. Boom. Dutch Sensi. Spelled sense like that. Spelled exactly how it looks on your screen. This dude is the motherfucking man. If you don't know who Dutch is, he is an avid cannabis seed buyer. He's got everything anyone's ever fucking released. So if you're real nice to him, you might be able to find that super hidden pack, and like maybe he'll give it to you or sell it to you or something. I don't know. He's not a vendor. But anyway, Dutch is the man. He's got everything. He buys everything from everyone. He's got every seed pack there ever was. He's a hobbyist breeder. But more than that, he's a fucking badass streamer. He doesn't even need our help. He's got like 200,000 subs and fucking tons of views. But he's on Twitch. He's on YouTube, spelled just like this on your screen. That direction. There you go. That direction. Just like that. And yeah, go follow him. Tell him Dark Horse sent you over there. He's one of the only sponsors we have on this show just because I love him. And yeah, Dutch is the man. Like I say, I think that he's all about preparedness, readiness, survival. He's actually remarkably accurate at predicting earthquakes. He kind of maps the Earth's like flow of, I'm going to sound stupid here, not magma, of like the Earth's crust and like the seismic changes. And he can predict with remarkable accuracy where the next earthquake is going to be, the big ones. And he wants you to be prepared, especially if you live in an earthquake-type city. He'll tell you what to have in your bug-out bag, which will include things you didn't think about, like cigarettes for trade, because they're going to be so valuable, like seed packs, because you're going to need to start seeds in the new Fallout fucking world. I know you guys have probably seen the Fallout shit. It's just like that, but with seeds now. All right, you need this. You need to follow Dutch. He'll tell you what to do. He'll tell you what to do, how to survive, and what's really going on in the world. He's like Alex Jones, but not a liar.
Oh, well, that's like...
Bang.
Yeah.
All right. With that said, I think we're going to get out here this week. I'm happy that we were able to come back after 2 weeks off. And thank you, J-Lo, for coming on the adventures with us.
Thank you.
With me. It was amazing. Until the next one. And yeah. Same bat time, same bat channel. Next week, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. All right, everybody, enjoy the soulful sounds of Stone Ninja. We are out of here. Peace.
Peace and love.
Little pirate gay fish, come sit on my shoulder today. Little gay parrot fish, sit on my shoulder today. And make me a fried shrimpy dish with some soy sauce. Super fried egg roll, triple fried rice. Triple fried rice, baby. 2-for-1 egg roll. Super triple fried rice, triple fried rice, baby. Don't forget the soy sauce. Chan chan chan. There's my gay fish song, dudes. What?